The 1980s was the decade of giants, from Magic Johnson's legendary rivalry with Larry Bird to iconic buzzer beaters. The videos you're about to see will show you why the NBA Finals aren't the same anymore. Number 1. Magic's Rookie Year Finals MVP performance at center. Imagine this. You're a rookie, fresh out of college, playing in the NBA Finals. The stakes couldn't be higher. Now, imagine your team's superstar center, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, is injured and can't play the deciding Game 6. What do? Those were the big shoes Magic Johnson had to fill, and he went on to deliver one of the most audacious performances ever seen in NBA Finals history. Although Magic Johnson had shown promise during the season, nobody expected such a stellar performance from him. The idea of a 20-year-old point guard playing as a center in the NBA Finals against a veteran team like the Philadelphia 76ers was not believable at the time. In the all-important Game 6, Magic started at center, and immediately it began. He was everywhere, scoring, rebounding, assisting, and even taking jump balls. He orchestrated the Lakers' offense, found his teammates for easy buckets, and grabbed crucial rebounds against bigger opponents. Magic's stats in that match were mind-blowing, scoring 42 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 steals. Magic Johnson showed that just one player can do it all and rally his team to a historic win. His efforts led the Lakers to the championship, winning the Finals MVP as a rookie, becoming the first and only player to do so. This but all cemented his place as a true generational talent from the outset. As Magic Johnson was on the rise, there was a certain Larry Bird who was making the headlines on the other side, and he's next on our list, a rivalry that began right from their college basketball days. Number 2. Bird's icy dominance and unmatched hustle. Larry Bird was the centerpiece of icy dominance and unmatched hustle. He was the heart and soul of the, quote, Blue-Collar Celtics, a team built on grit and relentless competitive spirit. The thing about Bird was he wasn't the flashiest player, but he was arguably the smartest. This helped him anticipate plays, read defenses, and make the right decision before you could even think about it. His shooting technique was also unparalleled. This puts him in the conversation of the greatest shooters of all time. And what further makes him an unbelievable talent was his passing game, incredible vision, and the sheer tenacity in rebounding. They were all at an elite level. But it was his hustle that truly set him apart. Larry Bird would dive for those loose balls, chase down rebounds, and fight for every inch on the court. His intensity embodied the work ethic that defined the Celtics. He wasn't just a clean, all-around great player. He also had the dirty side. He was notorious for his trash talk, which riled up and demoralized his opponents. Then, his performance backed up his talk. He would tell you what he was going to do, and then he'd go out and do it without breaking a sweat. This focus and unparalleled drive were the key factors in the Celtics' multiple championships during the 80s, making Bird a household name in the NBA. Perhaps the Boston Celtics would have dominated the decade if it weren't for the Lakers. Number 3. The Showtime Lakers versus the Blue-Collar Celtics. A big exciting aspect of the 1980s was the Showtime Lakers versus the Blue-Collar Celtics rivalry, regarded as one of the most heated and popular rivalries in NBA history. This wasn't just a clash of teams, it was a battle of ideologies and styles. The Showtime Lakers were known for their glamour and athleticism. Their offense was a combination of fast breaks, no-look passes from Magic Johnson, and explosive dunks from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They played with a joyous, free-flowing game. The Lakers were a joy to watch. People watched them to get thrilled and excited. They dominated their opponents with sheer offensive firepower and athleticism. The Blue-Collar Celtics, on the other side of the coast, were all about ruggedness. Led by Larry Bird's all-around brilliance, their game was built on hard-nosed defense, relentless rebounding, and disciplined half-court execution. They embodied a gritty, no-nonsense approach to the game, vaulting effort and teamwork above all else. They loved physical battles with the aim of outworking their opponents. When these two titans met in the NBA Finals, it wasn't just basketball. It was television that gave HBO a run for its money. Audiences relished the opportunity to witness the historic battle between Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. It was the stark contrast of styles that made for compelling viewing. Their final encounters were intense, emotional, and unforgettable. filled with physical battles, emotional meltdowns, and buzzer beaters, producing some of the greatest championship series in NBA history. Number 4. The physicality of the game. When you watch today's NBA games, it seems like the players don't want to touch each other. The 1980s were filled with a hurricane of elbows, hard fouls, and outright brawls. Players weren't afraid to get down and dirty. They weren't afraid to send a message. This wasn't just about skill. It was about toughness, resilience, and a willingness to go to war for every rebound, every loose ball. Some might call it dirty, others call it a passion. Either way, it was unforgettable. Speaking of unforgettable moments, nothing is more cinematic than dramatic buzzer beaters, and the 80s had those aplenty. Number 5. Dramatic buzzer beaters. The 1980s NBA Finals delivered more drama than reality TV shows. Buzzer beaters that leave your mouth wide open were a particularly standout feature. Even if the clock is ticking down to 0, a game isn't over until it is well and truly over. Back then, every 0 second could be a highlight reel. Let's take a look at some of the absolute cinematic buzzer beaters in the 1980s. Game 1, 1981 NBA Finals. The 1981 NBA Finals was between the Boston Celtics and the Houston Rockets, who were considered the underdogs by a mile. Game 1 kicked off at the Boston Garden, where everyone expected the Boston Celtics to assert their dominance. But the Rockets had other plans, and one player in particular was ready to shock the world. In typical 80s fashion, the game was a grinder. As the final seconds wound down, the score was tied. The Rockets had possession, and the ball found its way into the hands of Robert Reed. As the clock ticked down to 0, Reed launched a contested jumper from just inside the free throw line. The ball swished through the net, perfectly timed at the buzzer. The Rockets bench erupted. On the other hand, the silence in Boston Garden was deafening. It was a stunning upset, a true finals buzzer beater that nobody saw coming. One would expect such a momentous play from a superstar, but Reed was far from that. He was simply a role player, but he had silenced the crowd and sent a clear message that the series would not be a cakewalk for the Celtics. Game 4, 1987 NBA Finals. Now, if we're talking about the definitive buzzer beater of the 1980s Finals, you simply have to talk about Magic Johnson in Game 4 of the 1987 NBA Finals. The Lakers were up 2-1 against the Celtics, but in Game 4, the Celtics were battling hard to even the series. Then, in the dying seconds, with the score tied and the Celtics having just hit a clutch shot, the Lakers had one final possession. With rapt attention, everyone watched as Magic Johnson dribbled the clock down, surveying the defense. With Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish seemingly covering every angle, and Bird lurking, Magic drove to his right towards the base. Then, with literally just 2 seconds left on the clock, instead of a typical jump shot or drive to the rim, Magic unleashed a running, right-handed hook shot. It was a moment of pure improvisation and genius. The ball bounced off the glass and dropped through the net as the buzzer sounded. This incredible play would later become known as the baby hook. It gave the Lakers a commanding 3-1 series lead, effectively breaking Boston's spirit and paving the way for the Lakers to win the championship. This play was a typical representation of how clutch Magic Johnson was, and a testament to the drama of the 1980s NBA Finals. But then, finals in the 80s don't need buzzer beaters to be cinematic. Number 6, 1984 Finals. While the 1984 Finals didn't feature a single iconic buzzer beater to end a game in final seconds, the entire series was all about last-second heroics, crucial turnovers, and emotional meltdowns. Take, for instance, Game 2. The Lakers had dominated Game 1 and were poised to take a 2-0 lead. In the dying seconds, with the Lakers holding a slim lead, Gerald Henderson of the Celtics stole a lazy pass from James Worthy and scored a game-tying layup with just 13 seconds left. This wasn't just a buzzer beater. It was a series-altering play. Bird then secured the win in overtime, reminding everyone of the Celtics' resilience. The emotional swings throughout the series were legendary. Players were exhausted physically and mentally, missed free throws in crucial moments, turnovers under pressure, and clutch defense stands were as dramatic as buzzer beaters in this series. The 1984 Finals were less about one shot and more about the collective. prolonged heart attack of a series that went down to the wire almost every single game night. The Boston Celtics would go on to win the series, making Gerald Henderson's game-tying moment in Game 2 extremely pivotal. Michael Jordan's 1986 playoff masterpiece versus the Celtics. In 1986, Michael Jordan, a young talent, showed up to display what is considered one of the most remarkable playoff showings in NBA history. The Chicago Bulls' opponent, the Boston Celtics, had Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, and Robert Parrish on their team. And after a sweeping victory in Game 1, the odds were fully in their favor to win the ring. But on comes a young Michael Jordan. At the Boston Garden in Game 2, Michael Jordan put on a show that no one thought possible. Against the most formidable defense in the league, Jordan exploded with an astonishing 63 points return. He wasn't just scoring, he was dissecting, dazzling, and demoralizing his opponents. He hit shots from impossible angles, drove fearlessly to the rim, and his all-around play was nothing short of breathtaking. Despite Jordan's superhuman effort, the Bulls ultimately lost in double overtime, and the Celtics went on to sweep the series and win the championship. However, that Game 2 night rested in everyone's memories and was forever etched into the pages of history. It wasn't just about the outcome for Jordan, it was about the performance. It was such a good performance that Larry Bird himself famously remarked that it was God disguised as Michael Jordan. The game was the ultimate announcement of Jordan's arrival as an NBA superstar. Audience got to catch a glimpse of a GOAT in the making, the NBA as a cultural phenomenon. The 80s NBA Finals weren't just about basketball. They were a cultural phenomenon. They influenced fashion, music, and the way people talked about sports. The Lakers Showtime era brought glamour to the game, which reflected in the clothes people wore and the music they listened to. The NBA Finals became a cultural touchstone, a shared experience that transcended in the sport itself. And there you have it, some of the decade-defining moments of the NBA in the 1980s. Which one of these moments did you witness or remember? Share your experience in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.